Hello everyone, this is Nabil Murad from Toronto, Canada. In this training video, I'm going to show you how to extract records from a source list. I do have a source list here in column B, C, D, E, which is a date column, a region, a sales rep, and a sales amount. And I would like to extract the records that corresponds to one of the sales rep. So if I'm selecting Jerry, I would like to see all the records being extracted. And if I change the sales rep from the drop list, let's say Nabil, I would like to extract all the records for the selected sales rep. And to do that, I'm going to use one of the extraction functions. There are different methods of doing this, but because this video complements the series about the aggregate and the subtotal function, I'll be using the aggregate function in combination with the index function. The index function is one of the powerful extraction functions. And for the index function in its basic format, so we need to have an array and we need to have a row number. So I'm going to use the index function and I'll be specifying the array, a complete column from which I want to extract a value, and then the aggregate function will provide the row number to the index function. So the aggregate will provide the row number to the index function. How the aggregate will extract the row number? It will extract the row number after evaluating a condition for the sales rep. Whenever the sales rep corresponds to the condition I specified in H3, it will extract that row number, or it will provide that row number to the index function in order to perform the extraction. So this is how the final result will look like. When I change the sales rep, it gives me all the transaction for that sales rep. If I change it another time and select a different sales rep, I'm extracting all the records for that sales rep. Let's understand the basic concept first, and then we'll see how we create this function. It's a big function consisting of 7 nested levels of functions. So the basic function I'll be using for extracting records is the index function. And the index function requires an array. Like in this example, I'm selecting from B6 to B214, all the date column. And from this array, I would like to extract a specific number. I would like to extract the number that corresponds to the sales rep I specified in the condition. And in H3 here it says Nabil. So I would like to extract this one coming from cell B7. And then for the next occurrence of Nabil, I would like to extract this one, and so on and so on. So I need a row number where the condition or the name is found. How do I get this row number? I'll use an aggregate function to extract this row number. And the aggregate function, as we learned before, can have two forms. It can be used in a reference form and it can be used in an array form. I'm going to use the one with an array form because I'll be using one of the function numbers from 14 to 19. The aggregate function has 4 arguments. The first argument is the function number. The function number that I'll be using here is the small number, which is number 15. And then when I hit comma, I come to the next argument, options. And the option that I'll specify is simply what I want to ignore. And because I would like to ignore error that will be generated by the next argument, I want to ignore these errors. So I'm going to select number 6, which means ignore errors. And then for the array portion, this is the part that will evaluate the condition. And I'm dividing it into 2 parts. The array portion consists of a division, a numerator, and a denominator. I'll be talking about that in more details. And finally, the last argument is simply an incremental number because it says, because this is a small function, I want the first small, the second small, the third small, and so on. Let's see how we are going to build this function. As I said, the array portion, the array argument, will consist of a numerator and a denominator. My purpose is to generate a numerator in the form of a set of incremental numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to whatever number I want. And for the denominator, this is where I'll be evaluating my condition. I'll be comparing the names of the sales rep in column D to my condition. Whenever the name is found, I want it true. Whenever the name is not found, this comparison will return a false. And just imagine having a set of numbers in the numerator and then having a comparison that returns a true and false in the denominator. whenever you have a number divided by a true, true equals 1, you get the same exact number. But whenever you have a number divided by a false, which means that doesn't correspond to the sales rep we are looking for, a number divided by false returns a division by 0 error. And because I used the argument number 6, it will exclude those division by 0 errors, and it will keep only those numbers where the denominator returns a true or where the sales rep is found. How to build this function? Let's get started from scratch. Let's see how we create the aggregate function. And as I said, the aggregate function will be simply providing a row number to the index function. So I'm going to start by creating the inner portion, because when you create a complicated function, you can build it from inside outward. That will make it easier for you when creating this function. And I'll start by creating the aggregate function separately, and I'll create the index function separately, and then I'm going to combine both of them and recreate the whole function in one single go. So equal aggregate, and then I hit tab. And for the aggregate, the first argument, I'm going to move this screen tip a little bit to the right, and we can see that the first argument is the function number. Which function do you want from the 19 functions in the list? I'm going to select an array function. I'm going to select number 15, the small. And then I'm going to hit tab, and here I have number 15. Then I hit comma to move to the next argument, options. And options simply mean, what would you like to ignore? I know that my next argument, the array argument, will be generating some errors. And these errors will be generated whenever the name of the sales rep is not found. So I would like to exclude these errors. I would like to ignore these errors. So I'm going to select number 6 to ignore errors. And then come. Now I'm in the array portion. And as I said, the array portion consists of a division, a numerator, which will be a certain function that returns an incremental number, and a denominator that evaluates my condition. Let's start with the numerator. So I'm going to open bracket, and then I'm going to use the row function. When I hit the tab key, here is my row function requesting the arguments. Let's say from B6 down to the end of this list, shift control down arrow and F4 to lock it. And then I'm going to close bracket. What will this portion return? So if I select the row portion, and I would like to see what would it return when I calculate my aggregate function, I'm going to hit the F9 key, and it simply returns some incremental numbers, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, up to 214. But I would like to start from 1. So what am I going to do? Let's right now hit Control Z to undo, and then I'm going to subtract minus row, and then I hit the tab key and I select B6. So 6 minus 6 will return a 0. I'm locking the B6. So instead of starting 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to add 1, and that will be my numerator. So let's see this part. When I click and drag to select the whole portion, and then hit the F9 key, now I have a set of incremental numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 209. I'll hit Control Z, and I finished with the numerator, incremental numbers. And then I'm going to divide. So I'll click at the end, type a /, the division operator. For the denominator, I would like to evaluate my condition. So I'm going to select the entire column for sales rep, starting from D6 downward, shift control down arrow, and then I'm going to hit F4 to lock it and jump back to the top. And I'll ask, is it equal to my condition? My condition is in cell H3, and let's lock the condition and then close. Let's see what this part will return. When the condition is met, it should return a true. When the condition is not met, it should return a false. Let's hit F9, and I have a huge list of true and false. Whenever the condition is met, it returns a true. When the condition is not met, it returns a false. And we know that in computer language, false equals 0 and true equals 1. And now let's imagine we have a set of incremental numbers in the numerator and a set of 1 and 0 in the denominator. So when you divide a number by 1, you get the same exact number. When you divide a number by 0, you get a division by 0 error. Let's see the whole thing, the whole array argument. When I hit F9, I get a set of division by 0 error and some numbers, 54, 55, and so on. And because I use the argument for the option, I use the argument number 6, which means ignore error. It will eliminate all the division by 0 error, and it will only keep those numbers where the sales trap is found. So right now I finished with the array portion. I'm going to hit comma, and the last argument k, which means, because I'm using a small function, so I want the first small, the second small, the third small, and so on. So I need a set of incremental numbers. So I'll generate this set of incremental number by using the rows function. And the rows function, let's say I'm sitting right now in cell H6, so I'm going to type $H $6, and then a colon, and then H6. The first reference in this range is locked, the second one is not locked, so it will give me 1, and as I copy down, it will give me an incremental number 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And now I'm going to close the bracket for the aggregate function, and let's see what it returns. Now when I hit enter, it gives me that number. That's because of formatting. If I remove the formatting, it gives me number 2. And then if I drag down 2, 6, 16, 20, these are the row numbers where this specific sales rep is found. So this is how I create the aggregate function. And we know that the aggregate function has one single role in this project. It will provide the correct row number to the index function. Let's create the index function. So the index function is very simple, equal index, and then I hit the tab key. I'm using the index function in the array form, so I'm going to select this entire set of dates, shift control down arrow, and then F4 to lock it and jump back. And my second argument, it should be the entire aggregate function that I created. But because I already have it, I'm going to use the result of the aggregate function one cell to my right. I close the bracket and hit enter. And now for row number 2, it's extracting the corresponding date. And if I drag down, it will be extracting the corresponding date. This is how I create the index function. This is how I create the aggregate function. When I created the index function, in fact, I locked B6 to B204. I shouldn't be doing that. If I want to copy to the right, I should be locking only the 6 and 214. So this is what I'm going to do when I create the full function in one cell. Let's hit escape, and then I'm going to delete the whole thing and restart over again. I would like to extract the records based upon a condition, and to extract the records I'll be using the index function in combination with the aggregate function. Equal index, and then I hit tab. Let's select the range or the array, shift control down arrow. I'm selecting the entire column for date. I hit F4 and the second F4 to make sure that the row numbers are locked. And then I hit comma, and now I need a row number. How do I get the row number? I get it with the aggregate function. Aggregate, and then I hit the tab key. I'll be using the small function as we did few minutes ago. I'm going to select the small number, and then comma. What would you like to ignore? This is the second argument, the options argument of the aggregate function. I would like to ignore errors. So I'm going to select number 6 and then hit tab, and then comma. We are in the array portion of the aggregate function, and as we explained before, the array portion consists of a division, a numerator, and a denominator. My numerator will be created by using the row function, so I'm opening bracket and I'll type row, and then I hit tab. I want the row from B6, shift control down arrow, and F4 to lock it. That will generate number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But I would like to start from 1, so I subtract the first row, minus row, and then I hit tab of the first reference, and then I lock it, and then close bracket. If I keep it that way, it will generate 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, but I would like to start with 1, so I'm going to hit plus and then number 1 and close the bracket. Before I proceed, I would like to show you that this part is generating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to select from here to there, and then I'm going to hit the F9 key, and I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I hit Control Z. On this part, the numerator, the set of incremental numbers should be divided. So I type a /, and then I start writing my condition. My condition is in the sales rep, so I'm going to select the first name of sales rep in column D, and then I hit Shift Control down arrow, and then I lock it by hitting F4 and ask, is it equal to my condition from the drop list, from the data validation list? You can watch my tutorial on data validation, how to create a data validation list. And then I hit the F4 key because we don't want this cell reference to change, and I created the array portion. Let's test the whole thing. I'm going to select the whole thing and see what it returns. When I hit the F9 key, we have numbers and divisions by 0. I'll hit Control Z. All the division by 0 will be handled by this number 6, the option, and will be excluded because it will ignore the division by 0. What will remain are the numbers, which corresponds to the row numbers where my condition is found. We still have one more argument for the aggregate function, this k. This k means the first small, the second small, the third small, and so on. And I'm going to generate it by using the rows function with an S. I hit tab, and let's say I'm sitting right now in G6, so I'm going to type $G, $6, and then colon G6, and then I close bracket. Notice that the first cell reference is locked, the second one is not locked. So as I go down, it will increment, and then I have to close the bracket for the aggregate function, and then close the bracket for the index function, and then hit enter. Now I was able to extract the date. I want to test, so I'm going to copy to the right, and I was able to extract the first record. Let me copy 2, 3 more rows down, and it's working fine. It's extracting the record. But we do have a little issue. I don't know how many records do we have for this sales rep, Nabil. So if I copy down, after I extract all the records, it will return a number error. So it looks like that was the last record, and after extracting the last record, it returns a number error. So I would like to add a stopper to this function. So whenever I reach the last record, whenever I extract all the records for any sales rep, the function will stop. So right now, if I change to another sales rep, let it be this one, Jerry, once it extracts all the records, it's returning a number error. How to create this stopper? To create this stopper, I need two functions. I'm going to create a count function that will count how many occurrences of this sales rep that I selected in the drop list. This is a very simple count if function, equal count if, and then I hit the tab key to select it. I'm looking at this entire range starting from the first sales rep downward, and then although I don't need to lock it, if you lock it, nothing wrong with that. If you want to jump back, control backspace without locking, and then I hit comma. I'm looking for this specific sales rep in H3, and then I hit enter. So I have 18 occurrences of this sales rep. If I change the sales rep, let's see if the function is dynamic. I select another one. I have 16 occurrences of this sales rep. So I want, whenever I reach that number returned by the COUNTIF function, I want to stop my function, and that's extremely easy. To create this stopper, I'm going to hit the F2 key in the first function, and I would like to include all these functions that I created before in an if function. So I'm going to click right after the equal sign and type if, and then I hit tab. I want to create an incremental number that counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and we already did that by using the rows function. I'm going to do it one more time. Rows, open bracket, of this cell in which I'm sitting, $G, $6, colon, G6, that returns an incremental number, and I'll say, if this incremental number is greater than the result of the COUNTIF function, and don't forget to lock it, then comma, The if function is a logical function. The first part of this logical function is a logical test. And then it asks me, what would you like to do if this logical test comes out true? And the next argument, what would you like to do if this logical test comes out false? So if the incremental number goes beyond the count if function, so in this case, what would you like to do? I need a blank, double quote, and then comma, if it's less than or equal than the count if function. So in this case, I want the index function, and I'll go to the very end and close the bracket to this nested function of 7 levels, and then I'm going to copy it to the right, and then I'm going to copy the entire thing down, and it will create the stopper for stopping this function whenever the number of records reaches whatever the count if is delivering. Let's test our function and see how dynamic it is. I'm going to select a different sales rep, and the function stops after 33 records. I'm going to select a different one, Nabil, and here we have 29 records, and the function stops. We were able to extract the records by using the index, the aggregate, the rows, the row, and the if functions. Thank you for watching, and see you in our next tutorial.